in the past, the way the world was set up and worked, was it really truly feasible for any individual to truly help or change the way the world worked or help everybody? We would suggest feasibly, in practical, feasible terms, the answer is no. That's changing, oddly enough. We now literally have the technological capacity for everyone to help everyone else. So that said, we've been conditioned in the past to assume that that could not happen, and that if we tried to feel accountable for the whole world, the pain of the whole world, that we would not only fail, that we'd be overwhelmed, we would not do an adequate job, and thus, again, as we were conditioned, as you were conditioned, it's deemed better to pray for people and to take care of ourselves and our families. This process of people going into this dynamic of prejudicial criticism of others, we would suggest that its foundation is a fear of not being able to help other people. And because we feel we would, if we did, that we would destabilize ourselves, our own families, our own life process. And that if we actually went out of our way to help other people, we ourselves would become potentially at risk. And then we might become them, so to speak, the person that is in such dire straits. So a way to get out of accountability-free card is to try to poke a hole in their process and say, oh, well, they obviously weren't wise, or they didn't try, or they weren't courageous, or they weren't educated, or they're not as good as we are, or not as smart as we are, which is all baloney. So we're saying this fear of social accountability for the well-being of others has been a conflict in the foundation of humanity for so long that it's led to division, prejudice, bias, judgment, and criticism as a fear of facing that fear. And thus an incapacity to empathize with the other situation in always necessary to generate motivated, unified action to care for other. And it's been magnified by our competition and our greed and our desire for more, the distractions of all of those. And karma does have a role here in that, in many, many ways. We would say that karma is in part a recording of our prior interpretations, predispositions, core beliefs, unresolved wounds, unlearned lessons that generates obscuration in regard to our capacity to see another's plight or pain or suffering as equal to our own, as valid as our own pain and suffering, and as necessarily rectified or reconciled as our own pain and suffering. Now, some would say, oh, well, if someone's pain and suffering is their karma, so they must have done something bad in a prior lifetime, and that's why they're dealing with all this pain in this lifetime. We would suggest that that's not the case, that's not, that form of application of the karmic process can be used as a rationalization or justification for not having empathy and care for other. And that said, karma does play a role in everyone's lives, and it does define many steps on our path and process in life. And we say this with some degree of understanding. We've spent the last now 22, 25 years almost working to heal the karma of other people, which means that we've been required literally to stand in the pain of their karma with them, their if they died horribly, to experience those horrible deaths as if it's happening to us, to understand in a nuanced and nitty-gritty way precisely when, where, how, and why they made the choices they made, they had the experiences they had, the results of those experiences on their lives and their relationships. And we'll tell you that everybody that we've ever intuitively understood, they're doing the best. They did the best they knew how. They made the wisest decisions they knew how to make. And their process of karma is the vehicle of evolution and learning that they were operating within in that lifetime and that we are in this lifetime. So in that process, we're all equal all the time. There are none better than another. There are none, we wouldn't say there's anyone that's more wise or smarter or better or special or superior in any way. Every single human operating as equals in that evolutionary path and process of karma, and all equally worthy of love, kindness, and care. It doesn't matter who they are, what they have been or done, or how they've operated in the past. We don't advocate negative past life dynamics, and we also suggest always love, kindness, care, compassion, empathy, understanding, forgiveness, and support, and thus healing, and thus evolution, and thus attainment of realized capacity and potential as equals for everybody.